Let's go brew some beer.
I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red.
So today we are going to be brewing our Honey Basil Ale, which was our flagship beer back in 2015 when we first started brewing at the CD Roma restaurant. To get things started, we got to get the grains out. So we're going to go ahead and go grab some grains, all that malt that we're using for this batch of beer. We're going to get those milled in, crunched up, ready to go into the mash tun, and start getting this beer going.
I don't know if I can make it when I walk alone. Can somebody come and save me? I just wanna know. I wanna know.
I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red light. I could run through the fire, I could conquer the night. If I can make it, if I try to draw the red.
In the mash process, we are doing a very similar process just like making coffee. You got to take those grains, crack them up, open them up, get all that stuff that you want inside of them, mix it up with some hot water, let it kind of steep for a bit, and then we're going to convert those starches over to a usable sugar that we can ferment with. So with this batch of beer, we got about 220 pounds of grains going into this beer. Combination of our base malts and our specialty malts. Now our base malt is what makes up the some majority of our grain bill. And that's gonna be about 165 pounds. So again, 220 pounds total of grain for this beer. 165 pounds of it is just our base malt. The other amount of it, that's our specialty malt. That's what's gonna give us our flavor and our color, and a little bit of body as well. And we are going to go ahead and start moving the liquid over from the mash tun, leaving all the grains in the mash tun, and we have what's called a false bottom, kind of a colander type device that sits at the bottom of our mash tun that leaves all the grains in there while we go ahead and transfer that liquid, which is now unfermented, what we call wort, over to the boil kettle so we can start doing just that boil. So we get out some pumps, we get out our hoses, transfer that liquid over there, and then pretty soon here we're going to go ahead and turn on that flame, get things heated up, and see how quickly we can get this beer up to boil. All right, we just wrapped up our day. You saw us mill in some grains, throw it in the mash tun, transfer over some liquid, boil it up, add in some hops, cool it back down, and then throw it into the fermenter for the last process of throwing in that yeast. Now we got a couple week waiting process, allowing that yeast to do its thing, turning those sugars into alcohol, emitting some CO2, and then pretty soon after that we can get it packaged up in the kegs and get it ready to go on draft.